high-profile clients. It's the moments, the small, razor-sharp moments that cut through everything you thought you understood about justice. Yesterday, I experienced one of those moments, and I'm still processing it, still hearing it echo in my mind, a sound that started in a federal courtroom and won't stop replaying. Not a voice, not words, exactly. A raw, primal cry that came from somewhere beyond rational thought. The kind of sound a human makes when their brain refuses to accept what's happening. When the gap between what you expected and what you're getting is so vast, that language fails and all that's left is noise. That cry bounced off those high courtroom ceilings. And for a moment, absolutely everyone stopped breathing. Let me walk you through what created that moment, because this wasn't about guilt or innocence. That question had been answered weeks ago. This was about something else entirely. This was about the word immediately and what it actually means when a federal judge uses it. About the canyon-sized difference between knowing prison is in your future and discovering prison is your present, between someday and right now. That gap, that's where yesterday's drama lived. 3 weeks back, this defendant heard a jury convict him. 47 charges: wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, tax evasion. Every single charge came back guilty. The deliberation lasted under 6 hours, which in federal court might as well be instantaneous. When a jury moves that fast, it's telling you something. The evidence wasn't borderline, it was crushing. Despite the conviction, the defendant walked out of that courtroom. Standard operating procedure in many cases. Even convicted defendants sometimes remain free until sentencing, particularly in financial crime cases, particularly when flight seems unlikely. This defendant had given up his passport. He wore monitoring equipment on his ankle. He had deep roots in the community. All the boxes judges check when deciding whether someone can stay out between conviction and the actual punishment phase. The sentencing was set for yesterday. That courtroom was absolutely packed. I'm talking standing room only, press, victims, family members from every direction, everyone there with the same expectation. The judge would hand down a sentence, probably a harsh one given the conviction, then set a date 30 days out, maybe 60. Report to whatever facility gets designated. Go home tonight. Spend time with your people. Get your life in order. Prepare yourself mentally. That's the standard playbook. That's what everyone in that room anticipated. The judge had different ideas. Everything started normally enough. Prosecution took the floor first. They spoke for 43 minutes about why maximum punishment was appropriate here. They laid out the fraud's full scope. North of $80 million stolen from investors. Retirement funds completely drained. Small businesses collapsed. Families financially destroyed. They showed video testimony from victims because some couldn't be there in person. An elderly married couple who'd lost every dollar they'd saved. A single mother who'd invested her entire disability settlement. A military veteran who'd trusted his pension to what looked like a legitimate fund. Gone. All of it. Stolen by the defendant through a scheme that ran nearly 10 years. Defense counsel went next. 37 minutes arguing for mercy. The defendant had a clean record before this. He'd been charitable. He had family depending on him. He felt genuine remorse. He'd helped investigators. All the standard mitigation talking points. But watching the judge's face, none of it was landing. You could see it. She'd studied the pre-sentence investigation. She'd reviewed everything from trial. Her decision was made before anyone spoke. Today, when both sides finished, the judge invited the defendant to speak. He rose, steadied himself, and talked for 11 minutes. He apologized to victims, claimed full responsibility, said he never meant to cause harm, explained how the business spiraled beyond his control, how he made bad decisions trying to fix problems that kept multiplying. Textbook allocution. Defense lawyers prepped their clients on this. Display remorse, own your actions, beg for leniency. The judge listened, made notes, and when he sat down, she launched into her ruling. She spoke for 19 minutes, walked methodically through federal sentencing guidelines, calculated base offense level, applied enhancements for loss amount, victim count, scheme sophistication, abuse of trust, arrived at a guideline range between 22 and 27 years. Then she addressed statutory factors, nature and circumstances of the offense, defendant's history and characteristics, need for the sentence to reflect seriousness, promote law respect, provide just punishment, afford adequate deterrence, protect the public. After covering all that ground, she announced her decision. 25 years in federal prison, 3 years supervised release after that, restitution totaling $83.7 million payable to victims, forfeit of all fraud-related assets, special assessment of $4,700. The defendant's eyes shut. His shoulders sagged, but he stayed on his feet because here's where the judge normally says when and where. Here's where you get your date. 60 days from now, report to FCI Beckley or FCI Otisville or wherever Bureau of Prisons assigns you. You walk out of here, you go home, you get 2 months to prepare, except that's not what happened. The judge looked straight at the defendant, and she said something I've only witnessed a handful of times in 30 years. Given the offense severity, the substantial flight risk despite current monitoring, and the need to protect the public from additional harm, this court orders immediate execution of sentence under my authority pursuant to Title 18, United States Code Section 3143. The defendant is remanded to United States Marshals Service custody effective immediately. That word, immediately. It's suspended in the air for maybe 2 seconds. Then the defendant screamed, "No!" loud enough that the court reporter physically jumped, loud enough that gasps erupted from the gallery. The defendant spun toward his lawyer. "You said I'd have time. You promised I could go home." His voice was cracking. Panic was flooding in. The attorney tried calming him. "We'll file an emergency appeal. Will?" The judge interrupted. "Marshals, take the defendant into custody." 2 marshals who'd been positioned at the courtroom's rear moved forward. They moved with calm but absolute purpose. The defendant was still protesting. "Please, I need to see my family. I need to." One marshal placed a hand on his shoulder, spoke quietly to him. The defendant kept shaking his head. "No, no, no, please, I need time." The marshal stayed patient but firm. "Sir, turn around and put your hands behind your back." The defendant looked at the judge, looked at his attorney, looked at his family in the front row. His wife was crying. His daughter had stood up. Then something shifted in his expression. He realized there was no negotiating this, no arguing, no delay. He turned around, put his hands behind his back. The marshal secured handcuffs on his wrists. The sound of those cuffs locking, click, click, final. The defendant started crying, not sobbing, just tears streaming down his face. The marshal guided him toward the side door leading to holding cells. He looked back at his family one final time, tried saying something. His voice broke. The door opened. The marshal led him through. The door closed behind them, just like that, from standing in a courtroom, wearing a suit to federal custody. No going home, no goodbyes, no preparation. Immediately, the judge addressed the defense attorney. "Counsel, you have the right to file an emergency appeal of the remand order. The defendant will be transported to the designated facility within 48 hours. Then she looked at the family. "I understand this is difficult. The marshals can provide information about visitation procedures." With that, she stood. "Court is adjourned." She left the bench. The courtroom went silent for maybe 10 seconds. Then the defendant's wife started sobbing, really sobbing. His daughter tried comforting her. Other family members sat in shock. The victims in the back were hugging each other, some crying too, but different tears. Relief, justice, the knowledge that the person who destroyed their lives was finally being held accountable. Let me explain why immediate remand is so rare and so devastating. Federal law allows judges to order defendants into custody immediately after sentencing, but it doesn't happen often. The standard requires the judge to find the defendant is either a flight risk or a danger to the community. This defendant had been out on bond for 3 weeks post-conviction. Defense would argue he's clearly not a flight risk. He didn't flee then. Why would he flee now? But the judge saw it differently. She cited sentence severity. 25 years is life-altering. She noted the defendant's financial sophistication. He'd operated a complex fraud for years. He knew how to move money, how to hide assets, how to create false identities. The ankle monitor wasn't enough. The passport surrender wasn't enough. She believed once he fully absorbed what 25 years meant, he'd run. Here's what immediate remand means in practical terms. Within 48 hours, the defendant gets transported from courthouse holding to a federal detention center. He goes through intake, processing, fingerprints, photographs, medical screening, prison clothing issued, housing unit assigned. He doesn't go home, doesn't pack a bag, doesn't have a final family dinner, doesn't say proper goodbyes to his children. He left his house yesterday morning in a suit for his sentencing hearing. He'll never return to that house as a free man. His wife and daughter can visit, but it'll be through glass in a visiting room with time limits and restrictions. No touching except maybe brief hugs at start and end, depending on facility rules. No privacy, guards watching, conversations monitored. That's his life now. For the next 25 years, the defense attorney filed an emergency appeal 2 hours post-sentencing. Argued immediate remand was discretion abuse. The defendant had complied with all bond conditions for 3 weeks post-conviction. He posed no flight risk. He needed time to arrange his affairs and prepare for incarceration. The appellate court denied. The emergency stay within 4 hours. They found the district judge's reasoning sound. 25-year sentence, sophisticated financial crimes, deception history, flight risk concerns were reasonable. The defendant would remain in custody. I want to address what the family is experiencing because that scream wasn't just the defendant's voice. It was also the sound of his family's lives tearing apart. His wife didn't just lose her husband yesterday, she lost her home. The forfeit order requires liquidating all frauded assets. The house, the cars, the bank accounts, everything bought with stolen money. She'll have to move, find a new place, figure out supporting herself and their daughter, all while processing her husband is in federal prison for 25 years. His daughter didn't just lose her father yesterday. She lost her childhood home, her sense of security, her belief that her family was normal. She'll be known as the convicted fraudster's daughter. That follows you. School, college applications, job interviews, fair or not, it shapes how people see you. She'll grow up visiting her father in prison behind glass with guards present. That becomes her normal. But here's the other side. The victims had families too. The elderly couple who lost their life savings. They're living with their son now because they can't afford rent. The single mother. She went back to work despite her disability because the settlement money that should have supported her is gone. The veteran, he works night security to make ends meet because his pension isn't enough anymore. Those families were torn apart by the defendant's fraud. Their scream just happened years earlier. In private, when they realized the money was gone and never coming back. When the judge ordered immediate remand, she was weighing all of that. The defendant's family's pain against the victim's family's pain. The defendant's freedom against the need for justice and deterrence. She decided the defendant had already received more freedom than he deserved. 3 weeks out on bond after conviction on 47 counts was more than generous. Time to begin serving the sentence immediately. Now let me talk about what happens to the defendant in federal custody. He'll spend the first few weeks in a detention center while Bureau of Prisons completes his security classification. They'll evaluate his criminal history, nature of his offense, sentence length, any special considerations like health issues or security concerns. Then they'll designate a facility. Given his sentence length and nonviolent status, he'll likely be placed in medium security. Places like FCI Morgantown or FCI Elkton, he'll be there at least 15 years, even with good time credit. 15 years minimum before any release possibility. Federal prison isn't what most people imagine. It's not as violent as state prison often is, but it's dehumanizing. You lose your name, become a number. You lose privacy. Share a cell with a stranger, you lose choice. You eat what they serve when they serve it, wake when they tell you, sleep when they tell you, no control over anything. For someone who ran a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme, who controlled everything, who manipulated finances and people for years, the loss of all control will be psychologically devastating. And here's the hardest part. Every single day for the next 25 years, he'll wake up and remember this is his life now. Not for a month, not for a year, 25 years. That's 9,125 days, 219,000 hours. Every single one of those hours was avoidable. He chose to steal. He chose to lie. He chose to destroy people's lives for his own benefit. Now he's paying for those choices. I'll be following this case to see if the appellate court takes any action on the remand order. I'll cover the defendant's appeal of the underlying conviction and sentence. I'll track what happens to the victims and whether they receive any restitution. This case isn't over just because the defendant is in custody. The legal process continues, but immediate execution of sentence means the defendant goes through that process from behind bars. No more freedom, no more waiting. The consequences began yesterday, immediately. Let me know in the comments what you think. When fraud causes this much harm to this many victims, is immediate remand appropriate, or should defendants always get time to prepare for incarceration regardless of the crime? I read every comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next analysis.